Tasmania is an amazing place to explore, and we headed to Cradle Mountain after landing, just in time to see some wombats as the sun was setting. The next morning, we took a quick walk near our hotel and then headed into the actual national park. Our first full day in Tasmania, we are at Cradle Mountain National Park, and this is Dove Lake. It's a little cloudy today, but kind of looks like an enchanted forest, so we'll see how we go. There are many different walks you can do in this national park, and we started with the Dove Lake Circuit, and we only did a portion of this because we've actually been here before, but it was nice to see it in the misty weather. Dove Lake is incredibly clear, but unfortunately we couldn't see Cradle Mountain itself because of all the mist. So we have Lake Leela is this one here, and then we're just high enough now where you can also see Dove Lake where we were before. So this one's a lot smaller, that one's huge, but nice views of lakes. Where are we? Cradle Lake.
So what's your experience so far?
Well, we hiked the opposite of what we hiked last time, so I think it was easier the way we did it this time. I remember it being a bit harder, but it's also a lot hotter. So we got nice fresh weather, hasn't poured rain on us, so all good. There was an incident with an ant bite. Show us your ant bite.
No.
We decided to start walking down, and it's a good thing that we did. Crater Falls is my favorite part of this hike just because it's so green and different from the rest. Well, we finished our hike. Wasn't too bad at all and absolutely gorgeous. There's wombat burrows beneath us. I don't think we'll see any out right now, but you never know. So, let's see if we find any. Well, that didn't work out as planned. Take a look at our cameraman. After drying off, we set off for Strahan. This is our boat.
Hey.
We went with the company Gordon River Cruises on this expedition through the harbor, up the river, and even out into the ocean. So you start going through the harbor towards an area called Hell's Gates. This area has a history of shipwrecks because it's actually very shallow, and they've had to do a lot of engineering to kind of figure out how to make it safe. As you can see, the current just is kind of crazy in this area, and it's quite difficult to navigate. Immediately when you pass through Hell's Gates, the ocean just kind of takes over, and it does get quite wavy fast. The name Hell's Gates comes from the convicts who had to pass through this entrance to get to a settlement where they were kept called Sarah Island, which you also visit as part of this trip. If you're interested in history or learning about this part of the world, this is a fantastic tour to go on. After passing through the harbor, we started to go up the Gordon River, and this area is absolutely gorgeous. We did a short walk in Heritage Landing to look at the forest where there are some trees that are hundreds or even over 1,000 years old. It was very green, although it has been quite dry. We just finished our little walk, and momentarily there's no wind. And looks like we're about to set sail again. So let's see what's next. We left the river behind and headed up the harbor towards Sarah Island, one of the most remote convict settlements in Australia. It was only open from 1822 to 1833, but was known for its harsh punishments because this is where second offenders went. Here is the solitary confinement jail, or what's left of it. And people were constantly trying to escape from this island because the conditions were so harsh. An island in the middle of a harbor, in the middle of nowhere in Tasmania. It was pretty lost to the world, but there were people who escaped or tried to escape. And it was actually known for shipbuilding, and at one point was the largest shipyard in Australia despite its small size. There's a lot more to Sarah Island's history, so I'll put some links down below so you can find out more. We're off to the sand dunes, and nowhere would rent us the toboggans because of insurance, but we got them just as the store closed. Sandboards, check. We'll see what happens next. The Henty sand dunes are formed by winds coming from South America, known as the Roaring Forties. Okay, we found it. It's by the stick. And yeah, just go straight down. I am a huge chicken when it comes to anything involving speed, so I was terrified. The dunes are really fun to explore. There were a ton of different cockatoos, and it was just a really beautiful setting to watch the sunset over Ocean Beach. How was the sandboarding?
Amazing.
What would you give it? 10 out of 10?
7 out of 10.
Because you have to walk up the hill so many times?
Yeah, escalators and flooders.
Come on, sunset. Where are you? Day 3. We're still in Strahan. This is Ocean Beach. And today we're headed to Queenstown. We're going to do a hike and then head up to Stanley. And we'll see what happens. Right, cameraman? Ocean Beach stretches for over 40 kilometers, so it's easy to find yourself completely alone on this beautiful beach. After the beach, we made our way up to Queenstown, which had a bit of a mining boom. So this area is very geologically important, and different minerals, especially copper, were found here. You can check out the Iron Blow Lookout, which was a mining site as well as an important site in terms of geology. And if you don't like heights, I don't recommend this one. This is a footy oval, and as you can see, the surface is actually gravel. So the opposing teams don't normally like to come here because you can imagine all the cuts and bruises, scrapes that you would get, unlike the normal grass footy field. So, yep, Queenstown is a little bit different. The town itself is pretty small and quiet, but if you like trains, there's a great train that leaves from here. After a quick visit to Queenstown, we grabbed some coffee and now we're off. We'll see what our next adventure is. Montezuma Falls is a walking path that takes about 3 hours, but it's flat and it follows the old tracks of a tramway, which was used for, you guessed it, mining. So you can see the tramway on the left. It was pretty muddy, and we went when it was dry, so I can imagine that when it's wet, it's very, very muddy. So do keep that in mind. It's a really easy walk, and the falls are absolutely beautiful. It's one of Tasmania's tallest waterfalls. To get a different view of the waterfall, you can also cross this suspension bridge. Up to 4 people can cross at one time, although with 2 people it was swaying a little bit, so see how you feel. But the view was incredible. After visiting the forest, we headed up to Stanley. We've made it to Stanley, and after a little mishap, we've come here. We've got this nice view of Stanley. Hopefully we see some penguins. We'll see what happens. At the base of this volcanic plug known as the Nut, you can find a beach where you can see fairy penguins. These little penguins don't like bright lights, so they do have red lights, or you can bring your own red light, but they are just so cute and they look so confused when they come out of the ocean. The next morning, we headed back to the Nut to go for a walk to check out some beautiful views of the surrounding area. We're at the Nut. We're going to take the chairlift up, and then there's a little bit of a walk around the top. So this is a volcanic plug. It used to be a volcano here, but it has kind of weathered away over the years, and we'll see what we find up top. Got the safety bar. Got my cameraman. Honestly, when we arrived to the top, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I had thought that maybe it would just be rock, but there are nesting sites for different shorebirds. There's forest, you can see the ocean. It's quite a beautiful landscape, and I was not expecting this from the top of an extinct volcano. Where the forest is, the wind doesn't seem to be as strong, so there were a lot of different songbirds and wildlife. After saying goodbye to Stanley, we headed towards the airport along the north coast. And this coast has a lot of different lighthouses you can visit. You can go inside the Table Cape Lighthouse, and this is amazing because a lot of the interior is actually original from the 1800s. The lighthouse originally burned whale oil, but these days it uses LED lights, and there are tulip farms surrounding the lighthouse. We finished our trip with a visit to Penguin, Tasmania, and I hope you enjoyed seeing a little bit about our trip to Tasmania. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.